Stephen, congratulations. A bit of certainty is a hard thing to find in football management. It must be a relief to know that until 2024 you're going to be the Republic of Ireland manager.
Well, it's a huge privilege to manage Ireland. I never ever take it for granted. I appreciate the opportunity, and we've got an exciting year ahead. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it now.
Can I take you back to almost a year ago and the Luxembourg game and 10 matches in, still waiting for the first win? You obviously were speaking positively still at that stage. Was there any part of you that thought, as much as I feel I'm giving my absolute all, as much as I've got buy-in from the players, the results just aren't happening, that you felt maybe this new contract, maybe this extension wasn't a possibility? I don't want to say you get where you gave up. I know that's not in your nature, but we just thought, how is this not working out?
No, Nathan. There was never a time I thought that. That's giving you a straight answer.
Yeah. The turnaround then, you must take enormous satisfaction from the last 10 games, which is, one defeat in 10, the momentum that's been built up, the realization, I guess, of the time you've spent with those young players and the performances that have come about. How do you reflect on that past 12 months and how far you've come?
It's been the evolution of the team. You can see it with your eyes. When I was appointed as under-21 manager, we took myself and Keith Andrews. We took radical enough decisions at that level to pick the best the players with what we felt were the greatest potential for the senior international team, rather than picking who might get result at under-21 level. And we obviously picked probably the youngest under-21 team in memory, and we gave Troy Parrott his debut. We gave 17 Gavin Bazuna his debut. We gave Jason Knight at 18, Adam Ida. All of those players came in. Young, obviously had players who were a year or two older, like the Darragh O'Shea's and Jason Malumbys, but Aaron Conley was another player in that in that team who was a 2000 birthday, so he was very young. So we made a radical decision to do that, to try and encourage from within the under 21s, 19s, 17s, 16s to push people up the age groups and accelerate their development, test them at the highest level possible. And now we've seen that now with the most radical change in probably Irish football history, having 15 players that have come through. You don't want me to name them off, but certainly in more or less. You start about the games. My first game was only September, 12 months. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's been a radical shift, and we also with the style of play, it's been a fairly dramatic change. And I think when you factor in those two changes, you want everything to go swimmingly, but it didn't. And but now we've seen, you mentioned there, over the last 10 games, we just had that defeat in Portugal, that late defeat, and in between March and November in those games, we scored 20 goals, and that's a positive. And we've seen Callum Robinson emerge as sort of talisman for us and do well, and now he understands his role within the group and understands that how important he is to us, and we've seen that. So we still need to continue to improve. We know that we've got the world #1 team coming in a few weeks, Belgium, followed by Lithuania. Great games at home, and followed by the Nations League campaign.
Looking at 2024, do you look at qualification for the European Championship as as an absolute must? It's not about progress. It's not about developing players. It's just about qualifying.
Yeah, it's an absolute desire. I think, I didn't introduce the players as some kind of vanity project. Like, I introduced the players because it was needed. Like, an overhaul was needed. We had the age and profile of the squad. Obviously players had got to different. Dave McGoldrick retired. Obviously players at different ends of their careers who are great professionals for Ireland. Glenn Whelan, Richard Keogh, and obviously, and Darren Randolph had injuries at that period. So that was literally the spine of the team. So we needed that injection of fresh blood and the potential that exists within that, because those players have a lot of potential that we mentioned earlier, and you can see it with your own eyes. You see them grow, you see them play in the games, and the Irish public have connected with them because some of them are nearly heroes of the future. I hope they go on and be that. It's too early to suggest they are, but I hope that they will. And and the Irish public are identifying with them, and children going to football matches are identifying with these players, and I'm with the senior players. We've got great role models like the Colemans and the James Coleman as a skipper, and Shane Duffy and John Egan, who've been the leaders of the Irish team in this period, and so they've great. The connection between the two, the desire to get to Germany, as you spoke about, the European Championships, is a connection between the players who, on one hand, some of them might feel it's their last chance to get to a major tournament in their career. And on the opposite scale, the players who are really making their mark, who are fearless and want to, ambitious, and, playing for Ireland and try and make that must supersede anything that they do in their club career. And we have to create that environment that actually happens, and that's the truth, that they feel that, and that I suppose going on to qualify for the major tournament helps that, so that's what we must strive to do. That
when you talk about a connection with the fans, we all wonder during that strange period of games with no supporters what the fans would have made of it. It does seem, since they've returned, there's a huge positivity and a groundswell of support for what you're trying to do, and a real support for a contract extension when the debate was there. What does that mean for you personally? You've spoken about the honour of managing your country and how it's always the ambition for any Irish person to manage their country, but what does it mean to know that actually the Irish football people want you as the person to lead the country?
Yeah, well, it's very humbling, but I think and I am just one person, a whole team of people, really great coaching staff. I've spoken with Keith Andrews and Dean Kiley and all of the backroom team, and then we've a great cutting edge sports science team and analysis team and medical team. So it's a whole very professional environment, trying to make the players, to try and create an environment that can maximise their potential, and it's a great opportunity, and we want to, we want to do that level of support that you speak about. We want to justify it, and justify that fate.
On the practical side of things, the contract extension, I think it's over 3 months since Jonathan Hill was tasked with starting the contract negotiations. It's probably been a bit of a vacuum in between where people are wondering what's happening, and questions around whether the backroom staff was an issue, the size of the backroom staff. Can you talk about any of that? Can you appoint who you want? Can you get the amount of backroom staff in that you need?
I think that was those weren't the issues. Like, I think these things sometimes take a little bit of time, but I think it's irrelevant. 3 months is, it is what it is. So the fact of the matter is, we have a clear idea what going ahead, what we have to do, and clear idea of our objectives, and we're looking forward to the games. And Belgium are a world-class team. Okay, they're saying they might leave out 1 or 2 players, but they still have a conveyor belt of players playing at top European clubs, and that'll be a brilliant game. And we look forward to the 2 games against Belgium and Lithuania, which is another home game, and it's another game that we want to win. And so these are, and we'll have to, with the Nations League in mind, we don't know now whether we 4 games in 10 days. We're unsure. So we did need to think what we would need to make changes in the second game, because the 4 games in June are so demanding, with the initial plan. So if that's changed, we may have to take a step back and have an overview of it.
What's your understanding of what might happen, and also just your general sense of what should happen? Because listen, football is secondary to what is going on in Ukraine at the moment. The games, it does seem unlikely, even if Ukraine can play games, that it might well be the playoff that has to supersede the Nations League. But what's your take on what should happen?
Listen, it's impossible to know, and it's absolutely impossible to know. I don't know if the war is so devastating, so devastating for the people of Ukraine. We're arming civilians with weapons and saying, go and defend yourself. It's devastating. See so many people lose their lives, and so listen, where football sits in that, I'm not sure. After, well, I am sure it's irrelevant in regard to war, but whether Ukraine will play Scotland in June now, I don't know. I don't know about that. So we'll have to wait and see. But we must give Ukraine every opportunity to play the games and delay what needs to be delayed, and help them in any way we can with the fixture list and so forth. And that's a very small small offering,
One last question. You're going to be back here next week to announce the squad for the 2 friendlies. A couple of players that are generating a bit of noise. Jack Byrne, who said he had a text from you at the start of the season to give him a good boost, and has had a good quality of performance in some of the Rovers games. And also Michael Obafemi, who is scoring goals, playing regularly in the Championship. Those 2 players, are they in your thoughts, or what's the current status with them?
Listen, I think Jack, and it's great to see Jack, but people forget he's lost a complete year of football, and he's gone through a very serious back operation, and he's shown great tenacity and fortitude to endure that and get back playing. So he's only had a handful of games. Obviously, I've been at the President's Cup and the league game, both games against St. Pat's. So he's only had a handful of games, so it's soon in his rehabilitation. But I don't know, his quality of his passing last week, it's terrific. But Michael, Michael is. It's no doubt 2 goals against Coventry were very impressive goals, and he's not really had a run of games at club level ever. A consecutive run of games between persistent hamstring injuries and just the level of competition at Southampton. So it's great that he's playing regularly, and that can only help him. And he seems to be, he seems to be enjoying his football.
There's no personal issue there, though, from his tweet when he wasn't included back in the day.
No. I mean, it's just a matter of Michael playing games, and he's starting to play now, and that's good.
Yeah, Stephen, very best of luck.
Thank you.